What's going on, guys? Welcome to Captain's Comic Log, and today we are talking all about Doom. Welcome to Geek Devotions. This is a channel from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting you know that you are loved. And this month on Captain's Comic Log, we are talking about a rather risque comic. So if you guys decide to pick this up, there is a content warning, just so you guys know. But Umbrella Academy dropped this past week on Netflix, which is a Gerard Way comic series originally, and Doom Patrol also dropped on DC Universe. Gerard Way actually wrote a Doom Patrol run. So that's the run that we're actually talking about today. We're going to be talking about the first 6 issues. So with this first arc here in Young Animal's Age of Doom Patrol, we're introduced to Casey Brink, and we are introduced also consequently with a disassembled variation of the Doom Patrol. And throughout its duration of these first 6 issues, the title manages not only to reunite the core team minus team leader Niles Calder or the Chief, but also build on some new members. And let's face it, origin stories, when you're doing comic books, they are some of the hardest stories to tell, especially when you're playing with a property that already has an established fan base and readers that are familiar with these stories, their adventures, their villains, their what makes them tick, so on and so forth. And having had this particular title go through talents like Grant Morrison, Keith Griffith, John Braun, and more, Way really has some big shoes to fill. The thing that I really came to really love most about these characters is just the weird and bizarre nature of this comic and where these stories can go. Only being minorly familiar with these titles, like I said, and exclusively with Morrison's late 80s run, because my podcast, Victims and Villains, we recently did an episode on it, and I'll make sure that we have a link in the description below to that specific. Morrison also brought these characters into some pretty unusual territories, and Way does a really phenomenal job at bringing these characters together while also building on the mythology of the franchise and moving it forward, bringing the Doom Patrol into modern age. And it's really slow paced, and it really focuses on the character of Casey Brink, which allows the reader to come in and come alongside and get a more intimate feel for the Doom Patrol and these characters and what makes them tick. This introduction and the build of the team flow so flawlessly. Like, Way marvelously paces himself as a storyteller to reunite these beloved characters, but to also bring new characters and readers alongside. And it also creates this emotional connection between the reader and the storytelling, and it really pays off long before the arc's climactic third act. And so sometimes when you have writing as strong as Way's, the art can suffer. I've picked up many comics where you're like, the art's really solid, but the writing's not all the way there, or vice versa. This is not the case with this title. And when you have an art team from Nick DeRington and Tamara Bonvillain, this book soars in artistic weirdness and uniqueness. Like, it has a voice all of its own. The book snaps, crackles, and pops from a world that overflows with color. And even when the color palette or a panel calls for a darker shade, these two guys, they manage to still illuminate the darkest corners of the light of the book, but also breathing life into it and still making it a colorful experience. Overall, Doom Patrol Volume 1, Brick by Brick, is a masterpiece of the medium. The creative team behind the title brings a team of misfits from the depths of DC's underground and brings them forth to the modern age, doing so in a way that is also welcoming for new readers and old readers alike. This title manages to build upon the mythology that's already established with also breaking new ground. Gerard Way masterfully builds a emotionally charged arc that will immediately make you crave seconds. Not to mention the art team on the book of Nick Durrington and Tamaran Bonvillain will light up your eyes long after you close the pages of this book. Both managed to create a weird, wonderful, and electrifying book that comes alive right before your eyes. Doom Patrol, this variation of the team, is a must-read for any lover of the medium. I'm giving 5 out of 5 for this one. But if you guys have checked out Doom Patrol, any variation, whether it's Arnold Drake, Grant Morrison, Keith Griffith, Gerard Way, which one is your favorite and why? Make sure that you guys leave comments below, and also hit the subscribe button below and that bell icon so that way when we publish material, you guys are the first to hear about it. But more importantly, if you or someone you know is struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, please reach out. Suicide is currently the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. There are 129 suicides that take place each and every day, and when you scale back internationally, there are 800,000 successful suicides. That's one death every 40 seconds. So if you or someone you know, you guys can reach out to us on any of our social media. We have all those links below. Whether it is Geek Devotions, whether it is Victims and Villains, you guys can call the Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255, or even text anonymously to 741-741. Or we have even more resources on our website for Victims and Villains. Just go to victimsandvillains.net/hope. Thanks once again to Dallas and Celeste for giving me another spotlight. Join me next month when I will be talking about something different.